Iran violates the ceasefire, and Israel now vows massive revenge. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, unbelievable. Honestly, unbelievable. I don't know what else to say anymore. Unbelievable. So, yesterday evening, and if you followed me on X, you'd realize I was, closely monitoring the situation. Donald Trump announced what was at the time believed to be an historic ceasefire agreement between the mullahs in Tehran and the government of Israel. And according to President Trump, and we now know some of the details, President Trump personally brokered a ceasefire with Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, while Vice President J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, through both direct and indirect negotiations with the Iranian government, brokered a ceasefire agreement with the Ayatollahs, or the representatives of the Ayatollahs. And so Trump went on social media and said, we have now reached an historic ceasefire agreement, a total and complete ceasefire, which will begin to be implemented in phases over the next 12 to 24 hours. And so it seemed that we had finally achieved peace, that this war, what Trump called the 12-day war, was now finally coming to an end. And this occurred in the wake of the mullahs launching really a feeble, almost pathetic response to the decision by Trump, and it now turns out to be the right decision, clearly, to have bombed Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan, the three key Iranian nuclear enrichment sites, the heart, the core of Iran's nuclear weapons program. The Iran nuclear program has now been obliterated. Their ballistic missiles now have been largely decimated, or at least their stockpiles, and the mullahs now are facing a humiliating defeat. This is what we thought. And so, to give them a face-saving way out, the mullahs launched 14 missiles. Why 14, you may ask? Because that was the number of bunker buster bombs the United States dropped on these three key targets at the heart of the Iran's nuclear facilities. They're the heart of their enrichment program. And so for them, it was kind of a tit for tat. And they targeted one of our U.S. bases, the biggest one, in fact, in Qatar. They even gave advance notice to the government of Qatar, even to the Trump administration, to let everybody know the strikes were coming, to minimize casualties so no one would be injured or hurt. And they then ran on state media saying, we have destroyed an American base. Allah, 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 Allah. And this way they say face, and everybody thinks, okay, now we're going to have a ceasefire. Now, by the way, they fired their missiles. All of them but one were intercepted. The other one literally flew off course and did no damage whatsoever. So it was really a pathetic, extremely weak response. And what that showed, with beyond the shadow of a doubt, that Iran has lost this war, that Israel has decimated their air defenses, that their military now has been severely degraded, that their nuclear weapons program is in complete tatters. It has been shattered. It's been obliterated. And that the mullahs now are essentially clinging to power. And so reason, sanity, prudence would dictate, fine, as Trump said in his Truth Social, they got this out of their system. So you fired your retaliatory response. You fired off these 14 missiles. They actually shot one at a U.S. base in Iraq. The rest were all at our bases in Qatar. Fine, you run on your stupid state media TV and you claim, well, we just hit the great Satan. Okay, let's have a ceasefire. This thing is over. No. No. Within hours of the ceasefire, Iran fired multiple ballistic missiles into southern Israel at the city of Beersheba, in which they hit again civilian areas, targeting civilian areas, which is a war crime. And now 4 Israeli citizens are dead. 4 civilians are now dead. Others are injured. Bibi Netanyahu has now issued a statement. Iran has violated the ceasefire, and now, quote unquote, there will be hell to pay. And so, as I speak to you now, Israel's defense minister and the head of the Israeli, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, have now come out and said there is going to be a massive retaliation. Air missile strikes. They are going to pound, a particular, quote, the heart of Tehran, the capital of Iran. Now, in other words, the ceasefire is off. At least it was on for 4 hours, but now the mullahs have destroyed the ceasefire again. Now, let me just make a couple of points, and then I want to go to calls as quickly as possible. 617-266-6868 is the number. Number one, and to me this is now very obvious, any agreement with the mullahs or the ayatollahs in Iran isn't worth the paper it's written on. They're a bunch of liars. They're a bunch of cheaters. You can't trust a word that comes out of their mouth. And they have been doing this now for over 45 years. 45 years. They keep cheating on agreement after agreement after agreement. Hell, this is why Israel had to launch their 12-day war to wipe out Iran's nuclear program and their enrichment facilities, because they kept lying about their agreement. So publicly, the mullahs say one thing out of the side of their mouth, and on the other side of their mouth, they just keep enriching and slowly advancing towards a nuke. And that's why Israel eventually responded, with Trump delivering the knockout blow over the weekend by hitting those 3 Iranian nuclear sites. So anything from them is not worth the paper it's written on. You can't trust them. You can't believe them. There's nothing that they say or do that comes close to being honest or in good faith. Which now begs the second point. And I've been against regime change from the beginning. Not that I don't want the people of Iran to rise up and overthrow the Ayatollahs. Of course I do. I think it'd be much better for Iran, for the region, frankly, for the world. What I mean is an attack on Iran that would specifically target the leader, the Ayatollah, and force regime change upon the Iranian people. I've changed my mind. I'm telling you, I've had enough. I hope that Bibi Netanyahu, along with speaking to President Trump, in his response now, as they are going to rain fire and fury, shock and awe on Tehran and on key military targets, as the Ayatollah, okay, Ali Khamenei, Allah, as he's now trapped in his bunker, somewhere in the suburb in Tehran. I hope Bibi Netanyahu and the Israelis, as they now respond to this outrageous attack and violation of the ceasefire agreement, take that SOB out. Enough is enough. You call yourself a holy man? You call yourself some kind of a religious leader? I don't want to talk about all the blood on your hands over the last, years. American blood, Israeli blood, Arab blood, Sunni blood. I could go on and on. But here you now have a war that your country has lost. You have been humiliated, weakened, and defeated. And you still want to continue? You still want to drag that, you primitive 7th century barbarian. You still want to continue by taking pot shots at Israel and killing innocent Israeli civilians. And you can tell it's their bloodlust. They got their pound of flesh. Four Jews dead. Allah, 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 Allah. And he's partying in his little bunker. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm not saying we do it. I'm saying let the Israelis do it. They're going to launch a devastating response to what Iran has just done. They're going to target the heart of Tehran, as they just said. It's time to take the supreme leader out. This regime is ugly, it's backward, it's primitive, and it's led by a man who clearly doesn't want peace. It's time to take out the Ayatollah. Israel, hit that bunker and hit it hard. Okay, let me ask you, in all seriousness, should Israel now take out the Ayatollah himself, Ali Khamenei? Why do I say this? Well, they violated the ceasefire. We had an historic ceasefire agreement last night. It lasted maybe 3-4 hours in total. And already the Iranians violated it by firing a missile barrage, several missiles, which got through the Iron Dome, struck a southern Israeli city, Beersheba, is how I believe it's pronounced, and killing 4 Israeli civilians. It was a savage attack. It was a war crime. And it deliberately, by the way, was targeting a civilian area. Bibi Netanyahu now has told President Trump, and now to the whole country, to Israel and to the entire world, that this is a grave violation of the ceasefire, a horrific attack, and that now Israel is going to go for Iran's throat. They are going to launch a massive missile and air campaign targeting, quote unquote, their words, the heart of Tehran. So Bibi now says that Iran is going to pay for what it has done by violating the ceasefire and killing Israeli citizens. My question now to you, should Israel take out the supreme leader? He is buried in a bunker somewhere in the suburbs of Tehran. Israel knows where he is. We also know where he is. Up until this point, President Trump has told Bibi, don't take out the supreme leader, because that would effectively be regime change. If they're going to take him out, let the Iranian people take him out. Honestly, I've had enough. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to hear from you, but I'm just giving you my honest, unadulterated opinion, my brutal, honest opinion, like I'm in the confessional. You can't trust anything these mullahs agree to. And even when they've been defeated and severely weakened and really humiliated, this has been a crushing defeat for the Iranians. The regime now has been utterly unmasked and exposed as a paper tiger. And this is their response. They can't even honor a basic ceasefire that is not just in the interests of Israel and the United States and the region and the world, but for the Iranian people themselves. Hell, for the regime itself. So when you're dealing with such primitive barbarians, religious lunatics and fanatics, maybe there cannot be any kind of a modus operandi with them. Maybe, if all they know how to do is do Allah, 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 and do their stupid dance, after they kill an American or kill a Jew, then you know what? Maybe Bibi should do the world a favor and take him out. Just take the Ayatollah out once and for all and tell the Iranian people, we took him out. It's up to you now. And by the way, the Shah, the Crown Prince, Okay, Pahlavi is waiting in the wings. He's waiting to come to Iran to be restored to the throne so Iran can have a dignified constitutional monarchy and a transition to a democracy. To me, it's no contest. If it's Pahlavi, the crown prince, versus this animal, this savage, Khamenei, you'd be nuts not to take the Shah and the crown prince. But that's me. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. This is now, I believe, the question of the moment. Even with the violation of this ceasefire, what Trump has now accomplished, what he has achieved in Iran, I believe now will make him go down in history as an historic figure and an historic leader. Why? Because along with Israel in this 12-day war, the United States and Israel together took out Iran's entire nuclear program and eliminated a menace to the entire world. And all of this was done without a single American casualty. Sadly, Israelis had to die, but not one American was either maimed, injured, or God forbid killed in this entire incredible operation. I say give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, this is crying out for the Nobel Peace Prize. Listen now. This was yesterday on Fox News. J.D. Vance, the vice president, was on with Brett Baer. And as he was there live on air, he read Trump's post about a complete and total ceasefire. Roll cut one, a mic.
Complete and total ceasefire is what he typed.
Yep.
What does that mean? How did it come about? What's the development
Yeah.
here?
Well, we were actually working on that just as I left the White House to come over here, so that's good news that the president was able to get that across the finish line. I think what it means, Brett, is quite simple. First of all, the president, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program.
I agree with him. I agree with him. He obliterated, he destroyed, he decimated Iran's nuclear program without a single American casualty, removing the Iranian nuclear threat and the menace it posed to the region, to Europe, to America, to the world, without the loss of a single American life. This to me is an absolute masterclass. And look, I've said it before. I think Trump has deserved a Nobel Peace Prize on many other issues, many times. Who was the one that destroyed ISIS? He did. He should have gotten a Nobel Peace Prize for that. He made peace between two nuclear powers, India and Pakistan. Just, a month ago, averting a nuclear war. He should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize for that. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. And by the way, the defeat of ISIS and the caliphate saved an unlimited number of Christians, Yazidis, and other religious minorities across the Middle East. Now, he has removed the greatest nuclear threat that we have faced in our generation. Give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. Agree, disagree? Okay, let me ask all of you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. And despite now what the mullahs have done, and frankly, it is disgusting. Okay, there's no question it's disgusting. But still, when you look now at the magnitude, the historic, momentous achievement that Trump has now done for not just Israel, not just the region, the Middle East, but really for the United States, for Europe, for the world, destroying, obliterating Iran's nuclear weapons program with powerful strikes, a bombing campaign, one bombing campaign on 3 nuclear sites, 14 bunker busters, 24 about Tomahawk missiles. And boom, baby, this thing is over. He has now removed the Iranian nuclear menace, at least for our lifetime, once and for all. Here's the question. Should President Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize? A, yes. B, no. You know where I stand. I am a yes all the way, baby. Give Don the Nobel. Give President Trump the Nobel. Okay? But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER. As always, you can vote via X. I was, again, very active on X last night. My handle there, it's all one word, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in national ER, at the Kuhner Report. Okay, I want to read 2 messages, and then I want to go to the phone lines. Couple lines are open if you want to jump on. Now is the time to do it. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from Mark on Messenger. Jeff, so the Ayatollahs agreed to a ceasefire, and then Iran breaks it in 3 hours after the agreement with Israel. Now it looks like Israel is going to go for the regime's throat. I'm sorry, Jeff, but I said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep on saying it, all in caps. You cannot trust Iran as far as you can throw them ever. Mark, they have proven that again. You are complete. As I like to say, you're not 100, you're 1,000% correct. And then Mark asks the question, well, if the Ayatollah is holed up in some kind of a bunker, isn't Israel now going to need bunker busters if they are looking to eliminate or take out Khamenei, the supreme leader? And he asks, will the U.S. have to do it again, or this time do we just give Israel the bunker busters and let them do it? Well, my understanding is that the Ayatollah is holed up in a suburb in Tehran, where, by the way, a lot of the other mullahs are holed up as well. And these bunkers, unlike, say, Fordo, which was, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet buried underneath a mountain, this is maybe 20, 25 feet underground. So it's nowhere near as deep as, say, Fordo or some of these other, underground nuclear enrichment sites. So, no, a Tomahawk missile will take them out. You don't need a bunker buster. Knowing Israel, they'll probably fire a couple of Tomahawk missiles just to make sure everybody in that bunker is dead. But the point being, what's holding Israel back is the United States. Trump has repeatedly said, up until now, I don't know what's being said behind the scenes, but up until now, really, the guy that's been keeping the Ayatollah alive is Trump. Trump said, let's not do a regime change. Let's not kill him. Let's not assassinate him. Let's not take them out. Let it come from the Iranian people themselves. Bibi has said repeatedly, even publicly, we want to take him out. And we're itching to take him out. We know where he is. We know his location. Doesn't matter where he moves. We're tracking him. We got him dead to rights. All we need is the green light from Washington, from Trump. And so far, Trump has said no. After the violation and the blatant and frankly disgusting violation of the ceasefire, where you hit a civilian area on purpose, deliberately, and kill 4 innocent Israeli civilians. And Israel now saying they are going to hit back with absolute fire and fury. As they put it, this is going to be revenge. To me, if I'm Trump, give him the green light. Just give him the green light. Take out the Ayatollah, take out the mullahs, just take them out. Enough is enough. But that's me. So no, Tomahawk missiles are more than enough to do the job. We don't need to do it. That's why I say if Israel wants to do it, let them do it. But again, that's me. Okay, one more, and then I want to go to the blazing phone lines. This is from Larry in Leominster. Jeff, to believe Trump, he prevented the assassination of the supreme leader. Yeah, that's right. Now, Larry continues. He should tell Bibi, leave the U.S. out of it, but do what you need. Bingo. Larry, that sums up my position beautifully. We don't do it, but if Israel wants to do it, Bibi, wink, wink, go get him. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Brian in Boston. You're going to kick us off, Brian. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Beautiful. By the way, Jeff, I love you in a non-sexual way. It amazes me, the international love, and, you got the guy from Germany and all across the country. You're in the right place and you're doing the right thing. So I commend you 110 freaking %.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
So I wanted to make 2 points. And maybe, if you have any follow-up questions. Number one, there's the report of container trucks moving away from a lot of these facilities. What are we going to do about that? Do we even track their movement? Because potentially there's stuff that we wanted to, intended to blow up or now no longer there. And secondly, with the report about, Russia and other countries, trying to get involved in offering nuclear weapons to, or whatever to Iran, what do we do about that? Heaven forbid that were to happen.
Well, Brian, let me take they're excellent questions. Obviously, you're a very intelligent man. Brian, quickly, I'll take the second one first. Putin has shot that idea down. That was Medvedev, his number two, the hothead. And I don't know if you saw Trump's response. I thought it was very funny. He said, now you know why Putin is the boss. Because Medvedev was pounding his chest saying we're going to give Iran a nuclear missile or nuclear weapons. That'll teach Israel and the United States a lesson. And basically Putin said, are you crazy? So what Putin has now told the Ayatollahs, he met with the foreign minister, Iran's foreign minister. And this, by the way, this is even being reported by the Iranian state media. And he basically gave the mullahs the cold shoulder. He told them, you better sign a ceasefire. And Putin said, I'm not going to get dragged into a Middle East war. This is going to lead to reckless escalation. I've got much bigger fish to fry in Ukraine. And basically, you're on your own. So Putin is not going to arm up or nuke up the Ayatollahs. Let me get to your first question. Brian, please hang on. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to take all of your calls, I promise, next. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Brian in Boston. Brian, now your first question is now the $64,000 question, which is what has happened to some of the enriched uranium material that the administration now says, both Israeli intelligence, our intelligence, even J.D. Vance has now come out and publicly said those trucks that you saw, going in and out of Fordo days before we dropped those bunker buster bombs, they were taking out the enriched uranium. And so the question is, what has happened to it? Vance says it's quote unquote a mystery. Have they buried it somewhere? Has it been moved to another underground site or facility that we may not be aware of? We don't know. Israel is desperately looking for it. Our people are desperately looking for it. And I don't just mean by our spies on the ground or our intelligence people on the ground, using satellite photos, radar, everything at our disposal. Now, the bigger question is, yes, they've preserved some of their enriched uranium. their production capacity to build more uranium has been destroyed. And the ability to deliver that has been destroyed. So have they taken enough of this enriched uranium to construct, say, a suitcase or dirty bomb, a small nuclear device? That's the question. We don't know the answer to that. I'm just telling you, nobody knows. The Israelis don't know. We don't know. Look, they have taken a tremendous pounding. Their nuclear program has been badly damaged, at least for the next 3, 4, 5 years. They cannot reconstitute any kind of a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb that can be delivered by a missile. So we're going to have to constantly monitor. And that's why Israel is saying, if we need to bomb them again, we will. And we're going to remain vigilant. But we don't know what has happened to that enriched uranium. That's why Trump prefers a negotiated deal where inspectors, weapons inspectors, get unfettered access all across the country so they can find that enriched uranium and destroy it. Brian, does that answer your question?
Yes and no. My fear is that material is not staying in Iran, that there is another country, another destination outside of Iran, perhaps a secret ally or one of their allies. They have maybe a Fordo in their country, and the bomb could be made using that material. You think about the planes that were coming from China going into Iran. What's to say there might not be a flight leaving Iran, if you catch my drift, with that material going into a country like China or maybe Russia or what have you. And then my last point, think about this, sir. If Trump didn't move his head just a brief second to look at that chart, none of this would have been possible.
Well, even worse, you're right. You're completely right, Brian. But basically, I think we would have Kamala Harris or Joe Biden even. Joe Biden, a complete vegetable, or Kamala. Basically, it's still Obama. It doesn't matter if it's Kamala or Biden. It would really be, this would be Obama's fourth term. But we'd either have Biden or Kamala in the White House. Iran would have gotten the bomb. I'm telling you right now, Iran would have gotten the bomb. And that sword of Damocles of these fanatical ayatollahs who call for the end of days, the annihilation of Israel, and consuming the world in a great ball of fire to bring about the Mahdi, the 12th Imam, their Shia Messiah. That's the kind of existential threat, nuclear blackmail, as I said, the sword of Damocles, hanging not just over the region, but over us and the world. I mean, it's even unthinkable. God saved him that day. There's no doubt in my mind, Brian. Absolutely no doubt. For us, for Israel, and for the world. Brian, thank you very, very much for that call. Super quick, 'cause I want to go to Dave in PA. I want you to listen now to Kristi Noem, because this is another very important angle to this story that honestly is not getting enough attention, especially from the fake news and the corporate media. This is Kristi Noem, obviously Homeland Security Secretary. And she's not kidding around. She is very, very worried about Iranian terror cells or Iranian allied terror cells, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, other groups that came in through Biden's open border. We know that. There's no debating that. Listen to her now. Listen to how worried she is about threats here at home, to the homeland. Roll cut 10, Mike.
We did see thousands of people come into our country over an open border under the Biden administration that came from the Middle East. Have always been aware of the fact that some of these folks that may have come into our country could have potentially been radicalized. And so that is why we continue every day to go out and identify individuals that could be a threat to our homeland. And we'll continue to work to do that. We recognize that as tensions escalate, that means that there could be more potential for threats here at home. And so that's why we're at an elevated threat right now, and we'll continue to stay diligent.
So the Department of Homeland Security has put the country at an elevated threat level. The FBI now admits, under Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, say, look, we're not going to lie to you. There are Iranian groups and Iranian cells in the United States. We're tracking them, we're monitoring them, and we are starting to disrupt several potential attacks. So they're warning everybody, be very vigilant. Now, one last point, and I want to go back to the phone lines. Customs and Border Protection have revised their numbers. They now say that they know for a fact that over 1,500 Iranian nationals were allowed to come in across Biden's open southern border. That's the ones that we know of. In other words, they came in, they gave some kind of a bogus name or ID or whatever, and then catch and release. Biden released them in. No background checks whatsoever. Nothing. Nothing. Literally, here's your American Express, or here's your $2,000 prepaid debit card, and pick your Section 8, and pick your food stamps, pick your welfare. You want Boston? What do you want? You want LA? You want Chicago? You want New York? You want Boston? What sanctuary city you want? Go, and we'll either fly you in or give you a bus ticket. So that we know of, over 1,500 Iranian nationals. There are thousands of others that have filtered through our border that we don't even have their names or their fake names. And so, again, what Biden did, what Obama did, because it was really the Obama-Biden administration, what Obama did is, to me, absolutely unforgivable. It's unforgivable. And that's why I get angry when I see the Ayatollahs breaking the ceasefire and killing 4 Israeli citizens. Not just because it's barbaric, it's inhuman, but if they're willing to do that there, they're willing to do it here. Because they know Israel is going to smash them in the mouth. Watch, Israel is going to give them a real pounding. I'm telling you, they're going to hit them 10 times as hard as they were hit by the mullahs. They don't care. And so you're not dealing with people who are rational, who are sensible, who are prudent. You're dealing, to me, the closest thing I can think of is, Hitler in the bunker or the Japanese under Tojo. Again, I don't want to get sidetracked, but as an historian, people should know this. Do you know that even after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, even after we dropped the first atomic bomb, the second atomic bomb, and remember now, the Japanese were getting wiped out on the battlefield. Island after island after island, our guys were moving closer to their mainland, to their homeland. And Japanese soldiers were being slaughtered. 2 atomic bombs. Tokyo being firebombed every night. Thousands dying every night. They still didn't want to surrender. I'm not kidding. If it wasn't for the emperor, Hirohito, to me, that's why in history he always goes down as a great man. The emperor stepped in and used his authority as the supreme leader and said, guys, this war is over. It's over. It's over. How many more Japanese civilians are you willing to sacrifice? And even then, he makes this decision, which now that ends the war. Many of them literally committed hara-kiri. Many of these fanatics, the sword through the stomach. They disemboweled themselves, or they shot themselves in the head, or they took a cyanide pill. So what I'm saying is, this is, I think, the kind of leadership now that we're seeing in Tehran. you've been beaten, you've been badly humiliated, you've been defeated, and you're now willing to what? How many Iranians are you willing to sacrifice? How much more of your country are you willing to see destroyed? And, well, I guess they want to take, if you want to take another beating, keep going. But that's why I'm saying now, we've got to start thinking about the unthinkable. Take the supreme leader out, man. There is no Hirohito, Emperor Hirohito in Iran. I wish there were, but there isn't. Thank you very much for that call, Brian. Okay, so point being, you've got Iranian sleeper cells who are now in the United States. Biden and Obama let them in. And yeah, the mullahs are crazy enough to, whatever, commit a terrorist attack, whatever, in New York or LA or Chicago or, God forbid, here in Boston or anywhere in the United States. And you say, well, it's stupid. It's not rational. It'll invite massive American retaliation. Look at them. Do they seem like rational people to you? Dave, our Western PA constitutionalist correspondent, you've been very patient. Thanks for holding, and welcome.
Oh, we're cutting it close today, buddy. What's up, Jeff? I got a sunburn. I sent you a picture on Messenger, buddy. I was up at the Butler Pools, where I called you that Saturday from the ear incident with Trump.
Yes.
But, Jeff, I understand we hit Iran over the weekend. I didn't get my intel briefing from my usual sources, which are better than the liberal media, but I hear we deked them and then we nailed them, huh?
It was beautiful. Dave, I got to tell you, militarily, it was,
yeah.
You want to talk about threading the needle. It was absolutely masterful. The operation, the decoy, the execution, the firepower. And Dave, it's not just that we wiped out their entire nuclear weapons program and eliminated the nuclear menace for at least a generation. But look at the deterrence that now we have reestablished in the wake of Biden's debacle in Afghanistan. The world saw us as weak. They don't see us as weak anymore. And I don't think it's an accident, Dave, that after we destroyed in such an incredible fashion, in such a brilliant, spectacular fashion, Iran's entire core nuclear program, the Ayatollahs run to Beijing, and China says, we're not going to help you. The Ayatollahs run to Moscow, to the Kremlin, and Putin says, we're not going to help you. The message has been sent. Don't mess with the USA. There's a new sheriff in town, Sheriff Donald Trump. What say you, Dave?
Yeah, Jeff, I just wanted to comment on your question on Donald Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize. First of all, the Nobels, they're all liberals. You know that. That's why Obama got it, just being elected. That's why he got that messianic complex, if I'm not wrong, Jeff, a day later. And second of all, Jeff, I'm going to tell you this, okay? Number one, if Trump doesn't get the Nobel, I think him and Bibi should get it together and tag up like a tag team. A little wrestling metaphor. But, Jeff, I'll tell you, the sun this weekend was beautiful. Saw a lot of pretty girls in bikinis. Don't tell my wife. But, yeah, Jeff, it was beautiful. I was in Butler where it all happened. It was like that Saturday when I called you, buddy. That's how I kind of got the tagline, the constitutional correspondent for you, brother. But, Jeff, I'm up to speed on everything now. We hit him. We faked him out with the left and gave him an uppercut. And, Jeff, I'm going to tell you, these mullahs need to be taken out like the trash, buddy.
Dave, I'm with you. As usual, you're dead on, Dave. Dave, thank you very much for that call. Okay, Trump just spoke to reporters literally a couple of minutes ago in the wake now of Iran violating the ceasefire and Israel now saying they're going to go for the heart of Tehran. They're going to go for the regime's throat. Trump said, quote, he's not happy with Iran, but I'm not happy with Israel either. And look, I get it from his point of view. I mean, look, we had a ceasefire last night. It was an incredible, historic ceasefire. And, and as he said on his Truth Social post, look, this is now potentially a new era in the Middle East. You don't have to live with the threat of the Iranian nuclear bomb. The Iranians won't be able to bully and blackmail all of their neighbors, not just Israel, but Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, all the other Sunni Muslim powers and states. We could have a new era, as he put it, of peace and harmony. And now the mullahs savagely attacked Israel, and Israel now is going to, they're going to bomb them again to kingdom come. And so Trump's turning around and saying, so the ceasefire is going to go up in smoke? Like, what are we going to do? We're going to keep fighting forever? So I get it from his point of view, but I'll be honest. If I'm Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and I'm sitting around the table, I go, how long are we going to live with the Ayatollahs? Like, really, how long? How long? There's no reasoning with these people. Am I wrong? 617-266-6868. Barbara in Maryland. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, and thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
And no, there is no living with them. They're not going to just roll over, unfortunately, until I think they're buried. And I think the signal that at least the way I see things, and I kind of try to think the way President Trump does, even though that is a very difficult thing to do because he's so brilliant. But what he said to Benjamin Netanyahu is what he should have said. It's sort of like this when he said he gave him 2 weeks, and then he gave him 2 days. Or was it 2? It might have just been 24 hours. But that's what he needs to do. And I'm hoping that they do get the mullahs, because that's what's going to change things. Right now, they're so weakened. It was just a brilliant thing that President Trump and his Defense Department, all of them. I mean, it was just so brilliant the way it was handled. And I don't understand a lot of the Republicans that are, they're crying about stuff. Even Candace Owens. What a disappointment for me to hear these people as if Iran it didn't deserve to be leveled for what they want to do, what they want to do to the world, what they want to do to us, what they want to do to Israel. And they don't deserve to exist. They really don't. I mean, the mullahs, not the people of Iran, because I have a lot of Iranian friends, and actually they're Persians. They'll let you know in a minute that they are Persians. And they want things to be like it was before 1979 with Jimmy Carter and his debacle. People want to live their lives and not live in fear and get beat up, and women are whipped in the streets and all the stuff that's going on there. And it's not going to stop completely until the mullahs are dead. So I think it's going to end, because that little those bombs that they sent over to Qatar, most of them were destroyed. And I think the one that got through was in an area where there were no people. They knew the consequences. But what they did in Israel, that was real. And they hit a hospital in Israel. So I'd like to see the mullahs go. I just want to see them go.
Oh, Barbara, listen, I agree with you completely. Let me just play devil's advocate, because this is the counter argument. And this is why up to now, I don't know if a decision has been made behind the scenes, but up to now, Trump has told Bibi, don't take out the Ayatollah. And this is the counter argument. Who are we going to negotiate with? In other words, okay, you take out the Ayatollah. I get it. And his government now has been decapitated. Then what? You don't have a functioning government anymore. It's a power vacuum. And then we'll say, well, the people will take over. Really? We don't know who's going to take over. And so the fear is that the country could just split apart. You could have anarchy, chaos, civil war. You don't have a functioning government. And so this is the argument. The argument is this will turn into Libya or into Iraq, where the whole thing just breaks to pieces. And you've got that enriched uranium that's still floating around, that material. You've got terrorist groups all over that country. This could get ugly very, very fast. And that's why he's saying, look, as bad and evil as the Ayatollahs are, at least they're there. There's some stability. We could maybe sign a deal or an agreement. There's somebody to negotiate with. If you blow up the Ayatollah and the mullahs and essentially blow up their regime, then you've got a vacuum. You've got nothing. What say you, Barbara?
There are revolutionaries in Iran right now. They are very quiet because they have to be, but I don't think they're going to be. And you do remember that the Shah has a son. There is a prince.
Yes, the crown prince.
There is a Persian prince who is very, very capable of being brought back. And I think there is a real resistance in Iran. It's just a very quiet resistance because of how the fear, the hammer that they had to live under with the Ayatollahs. I don't think there's so much of a vacuum. I really don't. And they're very intelligent people.
That's very true as well. Barbara, I'd love to see the crown prince, Pahlavi, the Shah, or the son of the Shah, and see them come back to Iran and take up power and have a constitutional monarchy. To me, it would be great for Iran, great for the region, great for America, great for the world. To me, I'm hoping that's the end game. Fingers crossed. Barbara, as always, so thoughtful. Thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Your calls next.
And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. Well, we have to have Israel calm down because they went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
That was President Trump practically on the tarmac, about to board Air Force One. He is heading to the Netherlands for a NATO summit. And he is very unhappy now with developments over the last couple of hours. You heard part of it. Now, I want to read to you everything that he said. It was on the South Lawn, and he was asked, President Trump was asked, by the way, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 720 here on the great WRKO. He was asked whether Iran still wanted peace. Trump said he did. I'm just reading straight from the wires now. But then said both sides had violated the ceasefire. And he appears to suggest that Iran may have fired a rocket by accident. And this is what he said, quote, Israel, as soon as we made the deal, the ceasefire last night, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel, he told the reporters. And remember, he was a phased ceasefire. And so he said, okay, the first 6 hours, then the first 12 hours, then by the 24-hour mark, complete cessation of hostilities. And he said the first phase was the first 12 hours. And this is what he's referring to now. Quote, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours. You don't go out in the first hour. Just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them, meaning Israel. Then he goes on to say, I'm not happy with Iran either, but I'm really unhappy if Israel is going out this morning because of one rocket, you just heard some of that didn't land, that was shot perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard. Please forgive me because he swore. And I don't want to say the swear word on the air, but you know what he said. They have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the blank they're doing. So he's very upset. I mean, for him to swear in front of reporters like this, it was, live on television. He's hot. He's really, really hot. And in a way, I don't blame him. We had the end to the war. We had a ceasefire, a complete and total ceasefire. And now the whole thing may be going up in smoke. Now, what I do find interesting is, again, I'm just going by media reports from Israel, even American media reports, that there were 4 Israelis killed, that there were 2 ballistic missiles that were fired or that got through the Iron Dome, and they hit Beersheba, the city, civilian area, and 4 Israelis were killed, murdered. Trump is saying that that's not true. Trump is saying it was one rocket that got through, and whatever, as he put it, landed nowhere. In other words, that there were no casualties. So what he's saying is directly at odds of what we've been hearing now for the last couple of hours. So I'm not saying the president is wrong, but I'm saying, I don't know, is Israel lying about what happened? Are they looking for an excuse to continue bombing? In other words, they don't really want a ceasefire? Or is this just misinformation? Or is this, as Trump is saying, the passion of war, where you've got the temperature so high on both sides? As he put it, they've been going at each other and going at each other and going at each other, that they just don't want to stop or don't know how to stop. But anyway, whatever it is, Trump is, he's very angry. And, he's now telling Israel, stand down. Iran, stand down. And as he told reporters, I'm not happy with Israel. I'm not happy with Iran. But what's interesting is he seems much more unhappy with Israel at this moment and Netanyahu than he is with the Ayatollahs in Tehran. So you may disagree with me, but I just read you his remarks that he delivered. He seemed to be much tougher on Israel than Iran. And so I think he's basically saying to Bibi, hey guys, okay, it's over. You got to know when you've won, and we got a ceasefire, and it's time to honor it. And you guys are the ones that are now unloading and just pounding and hammering Tehran and Iran when you've just signed a ceasefire. So he's saying you're in violation, and he says, yeah, you guys fired a missile, you're in violation. But he's basically telling Bibi, call off the attack dogs. Call off the warplanes, call off the bombing. So it's clear to me Trump has made a decision, don't take out the Ayatollah and do not take out the mullahs. So this is now where we stand. I want to get your reaction. Personally, I disagree. If this is true, again, this is literally as it's happening. So I don't have all the information that, I normally would have when I, make a comment or have a take. But this is literally as it's breaking. To me, if Bibi wants to take out the Ayatollahs, give him the green light, man. I understand where Trump is coming from, of course. But I'm like, hey, buddy, at this point, do the world a favor. Take out the mullahs. Take out that supreme leader. Take them out once and for all. And just drop a couple of these Tomahawk missiles and let's end this. But that's me. I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868. Trump now says Israel has to pull back. He's not happy with both sides. And he's basically telling Bibi, don't drop another bomb or missile on Iran because I'm going to blame you. Your reaction, your calls. Should Trump stand down and let Israel finish what it started? Or is it time to honor the ceasefire and end the 12-day war? I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868. I promise all of your calls next. Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. All right, he popped the cork. Trump was, mad. Red hot. Hot under the collar, very upset with both Israel and Iran. He went out of his way to say, I'm not just going to blame Iran for the violation of the ceasefire. I'm going to blame Israel as well. If anything, it seems to me he's blaming Israel even more than he's blaming Iran. Let me just play. We got a partial clip or cut of what his statement to reporters. Mike, let's just play it again one more time. Roll cut 100.
And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. So we have to have Israel calm down because they went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
So they said they were going to hit and pound the heart of Tehran in response to that ballistic missile. In fact, the reports were it was 2 ballistic missiles that apparently landed in Beersheba, and a civilian area, and that it killed 4 Israeli civilians. Trump is saying that's not what our intel is saying. Our intel is saying 1 rocket, and it landed basically nowhere. In other words, there were no deaths, no casualties, no nothing. And that Israel is way overreacting. So I'm just curious, should Israel go for the throat of the mullahs and the ayatollahs and take out the supreme leader? Or should they go back to the ceasefire of last night? 617-266-6868. John in Dunstable. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
This is a double-edged sword, Jeff, because if Iran is decimated with bombs, you know who's going to have to rebuild Iran? It's going to turn into another Iraq, Afghanistan situation. And it's going to be America, because Israel's not going to, for sure. They hate each other so much. They're not going to do anything. But it's starting to make what Vince said last week, and I hope to God it doesn't happen, Jeff. But if this goes sideways, we could be in trouble, Jeff. But my biggest fear, Jeff, with this whole thing is homegrown terrorists. As you probably saw in New York, they were waving Iranian flags. You know, the country that's butchered many soldiers and many Americans, maimed many Americans. And my fear, Jeff, is that we do have Iranian terrorists here, and there is no forgiveness. They don't forgive, Jeff. A pure Muslim will never forgive its enemy, no matter what you do. And it's very hard to fight, Jeff, the other side that's willing to kill themselves to kill you. When you go to battle, Jeff, your main objective is to kill the other side, but you don't give your life. You know, you don't blow yourself up to kill the other side. And that's what my biggest fear is. And will something happen in our country? I'm not sure, but it sure seems to be going that way. And
well, John, let me just piggyback because you're making to me a fascinating and very, very important point. There's a big primary today. I was hoping to cover it, but there's again this war. It just so much is happening, breaking news, and it's such important news. But keep your eyes on it, everybody in Kuhner country. There's a big primary for the mayor of New York City, the Democrat primary. And it looks like, at least according to the polls, that a Islamic socialist, literally, I'm not kidding, an Islamic socialist, Zoran, I think it's Mamdani is how you pronounce his name. But anyway, he's apparently ahead of Andrew Cuomo. Everybody thought Cuomo was going to win the primary and most likely become mayor of New York again. No, this guy Zoran, as he calls himself, that's his first name, has been endorsed by AOC, endorsed by Bernie, endorsed by the Squad, endorsed by the radical left. And there's a lot of candidates, and they have this voting system, ranked choice voting system now for the primary in New York to be the mayor. He may very possibly win. And as you know, New York is a very deep blue city, meaning pretty much you win the Democratic primary, you're going to be the next mayor. Now, he is a Shia Muslim, i.e. he is very close to Iran. He is open about his sympathies towards the mullahs in Iran. He literally just gave a speech a few days ago to a group of Muslim supporters saying that if I win, New York City Hall will become quote unquote Muslim. He has called for globalizing the Intifada. What that means in plain English is I want to bring October 7th and Al-Qaeda style attacks, terrorist attacks, to the United States and to Western countries around the world. Now, the media is focusing on the fact that he's a lunatic socialist, which is true. If I get into the policies, you're not going to believe what this guy stands for. New York is going to commit economic financial suicide if they elect this guy as their mayor. I mean, they're crazy. They're insane. Remember, New York, I understand it's always been, crazy liberals, far left liberals who run the state, especially the city of New York. But it's the financial capital in some way of the United States and in some ways of the world. And so that's why, they'll be liberal on abortion and same-sex marriage and LGBTQ issues, and maybe they even go crazy on sanctuary cities, but they protect Wall Street. In other words, that's their bread and butter. No, this guy wants to destroy Wall Street. He wants to destroy New York as a financial capital of the United States and the world. And these insane moonbats are about to vote for him. But even more dangerous than his socialism, I believe this guy's a fellow traveler. What you're talking about. This man is clearly an Iranian sympathizer. He's very much pro-Hamas. He's very pro-Palestinian. He's a rabid anti-Semite. That's the other thing. New York has how many millions of Jews? And you're going to install a flaming anti-Semite, an open, naked Jew hater, as the mayor of New York City, who is a radical Shia Muslim, who himself is an admirer of the Ayatollahs and the mullahs in Tehran. You can't make this up. So the fifth columnists are not just amongst us. They're now on the verge of winning political power in New York City. Final word to you, John.
They're already in office, Jeff. Look at AOC and the rest of them.
Oh, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. Yeah. You can go on and on.
I don't understand why they haven't been arrested. I don't understand it, and it seems like all of this is for the destruction of our own country. That's my fear, Jeff. But I just want to. I don't know if you remember this or not, but like a year or so ago,
I would pay to have listened to what he was saying to them. It absolutely must have been epic. When he addresses the press like that, too, he drops an F-bomb. He knows the whole world is watching, and he does that on purpose. He is sending a message.
That's right.
He is absolutely brilliant.
No, you're right.
The next point
Tim, I don't want to cut you. I promise I'll give you all the time in the world. No, and that's what, I saw that right away. I said for him, for the president of the United States, and presidents swear in private, it's been going on since time immemorial, but for him to swear in public in front of a massive press gaggle, which, covered live by C-SPAN, live by CNN, live by Fox News, the BBC, they're all there. So, and it goes through. They don't bleep it. It's for emphasis. In other words, I want everyone to know I am really angry. Like I'm gonna chew their heads off. Like I'm pissed. I'm really pissed. And you could tell you're like, whoa. You're like, I don't want to be on the receiving end of that phone call. And then honestly, Tim, what's incredible, what was it? It's like 15 minutes later, I guess he lands at, Andrews Air Force Base. And he comes off Marine One and he says, yeah, we got a ceasefire. I just spoke to Netanyahu. The planes are coming back. Watch his statement. They've just released a statement. The ceasefire is now taking place. And Iran, the Ayatollah came out and said, yeah, we got a ceasefire. So who knows what the hell he said? I swear, Tim, I would have loved to be there. Loved to be there. Sandy, do we have the cut? Okay, Tim, hang on. We're going to play This Is Trump, the full cut, right, Sandy? Okay, let's go to 101. So Sandy's cut it up into, it was a bit of a long statement. This is where he used the bleep you, but we have to bleep it out. Or see, the president can say it, and TV can carry it, but if I use the F-bomb, millions of dollars in fines. So it's bleeped out, but here it is. Roll cut 101, a mic.
Believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel was committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
Great job, Sandy. Great job turning that around. Excellent work. Tim, and you notice, you understand that? Like for emphasis, like, did you hear? I just dropped the F-bomb. You get it now? You want to see how angry I am? That's how pissed I am. Tim, please keep going, my friend.
Well, I just wanted to add a couple of other points. You mentioned the election, this election today, and this brings up an old subject, Jeff. We've been talking about this ad nauseum. Mass arrests needed, past tense, needed, and still present tense, they need to take place. If mass arrests had taken place earlier, just listen to my point here, okay? The Cuomos of the world would not be on a ballot because, okay, the squad wouldn't have so much influence. I just can't believe so many American people are listening to these. I just don't get it. Is that the next part of the process? Chronologically speaking, you have this supposed, I think it was a ruse, you have the Iran President Trump breakup. Now we have what? Riots in cities. Now we have World War III. This election, as you astutely mentioned, is a really, really big deal. And here's my last point. There was an election last November. President Trump, a couple of months before it, he put out a tweet, cease and desist. If there is any cheating, any fraud in this election, arrests are going to be made. Jeff, your listeners need to know that they apprehended a truck full of ballots in Pennsylvania. Okay, this is important now in regard to everything taking place right now. Okay, they tried to steal Pennsylvania, Jeff. They tried to steal the election, this past election. Everything here is linked, and my ego is fractured because I was going to call and tell you that this will be over in a few minutes.
Well, look, Tim, you're on fire. Look, Kash Patel, to me, that revelation was shocking. It's one of the things I was going to discuss, but the Iran-Israel war overshadowed everything, but I was going to come back to it, and I'm happy you mentioned it. No, look, the communist Chinese were caught red-handed. They directly interfered in the 2020 election. It's now indisputable. And you're right, in key states like Pennsylvania, they were passing around fake mail-in ballots. And it wasn't for Donald Trump. It was for Joe Biden. So you have a foreign power directly interfering in our election in order to tilt it for Biden over the incumbent president of the United States. You want to talk about, Trump-Russia collusion. No, the real scandal is Biden-China collusion because he was their man. He was Beijing's man. Through his son and through his crime family, they bought him lock, stock, and barrel. And they engaged in naked, obvious voter fraud and corruption. Okay, vote stealing to help him win some of these key pivotal swing states. I mean, this should be the biggest scandal in the country, but the war has knocked everything off the radar. You're dead on. Tim, look, I don't want to seem petty, but I know the liberal media, and I know the never Trump media, and I'm telling you they're going to pounce on him using the F-bomb. And here's what they're going to say, Tim. They're going to say, how dare a president in public, in front of the cameras, with the children watching, because it was like, I think 7:30 in the morning or whatever. How dare he use the F-bomb? And they're going to say, it's unpresidential, it's vulgar, it's coarse, it's bad for the children. It's the language of a dictator. So, Tim, I want to ask you, was it inappropriate for Trump to have used the F-bomb in front of the cameras in public, in your view? Are you offended? Should the country be offended?
The easy answer to this question is, Jeff, just watch. His approval rating is going to go up. His polling will rise. American people are clear thinking for the most part. I think a higher percentage of this country is clear thinking. I won't speak for New Yorkers, but watch. His approval will rise because regular people know. They know this stuff. They know what he's doing. They can figure it out. We have many intelligent people in this country. Every time the media tries to pull something like this, opposite, Jeff. I always say, I even tweet it to you, the opposite always happens. He is brilliant.
Tim, you're right. I think his poll numbers are going to skyrocket. I mean, they're already pretty high, but now I think it's going to go into the stratosphere. And Tim, you're dead on, and thank you for that call. No, look, the question I have, in all seriousness, what's worse? Here's the counter argument right away. What's worse? Swearing in front of children or sniffing children? What's worse? That's what Joe Biden did. He kept sniffing the hair of children. And his own daughter accused him in her diary of him taking inappropriate showers with her when she was 11 years old. So you tell me what's worse? Swearing in front of children when you're trying to let two, military powers who can blow up a massive ceasefire, a very important ceasefire, and, maybe continue a horrible war with all the stakes riding on it, that Trump uses the F-bomb to let everybody know, guys, this is how serious I am. Okay, I want you, knock it off. Both sides, just knock it off. Or you have a guy like Joey who was accused by his own daughter of, inappropriately touching her in the shower at 11 years old. And every time he saw a kid, he's worse than my Rocky. I swear, my Rocky doesn't sniff your hair. He just sniffs your ankle, your hand, and then he wants to lick you and kiss you. This guy, he's all over the children's hair. And they could be 6, 5, 4 years old. There he is. He just can't stop sniffing. So, if they want to go down that route, I'm happy to have that debate. Tim, thank you very much for that call. Maria in Ludlow. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Maria?
Oh, super tired.
Well, you're just coming off your shift now, right?
Yes, long night. But, excuse me, I wanted to, I 1,000% agree President Trump should get the Nobel Prize right off the bat. Second thing, I am not by any means offended that he used the F word. Let's be real. These kids nowadays know more, they throw more F-bombs than anybody else. If the media has a problem with that, that's their problem. No, nobody should be offended. Everybody should be offended of all the stupidity these liberals do, but nobody talks about that. Now about the point about the war.
Maria, before we get to the war, this is from Kaylee, and she messaged me as I was, talking to you, and she makes a great point. How quickly the mainstream media will forget that Biden used the F-bomb to Obama on a hot mic. Do you remember that, Maria, when they signed the Obamacare bill and turned it into law. And Joe Biden on a hot mic walks up to Obama and says, this is a big, I can't say the F-bomb, this is a big effing deal. Do you remember that? And the media was like, oh, that's just Joe being Joe. It's so charming. It's funny. It's so colorful. So when Joey used the F-bomb and all the children heard it, no problemo. No problemo. Now that Trump uses it, well, my God, they're going to impeach him. It's a constitutional crisis. Maria, please keep going.
Trump should learn how to swear in a different language. Maybe that won't be offensive. I can send him a few words in Portuguese, no problem. But to my point about the war, this one is like a little bit hard for me. Like, I understand, I agree with President Trump, but at the same time, it's like they're there already. And why not finish the job? Because these people, these Iranian ayatollahs, they don't forgive and forget. They might say ceasefire, but behind closed doors, I bet they're cooking something. And it might not be now, might not be a few years from now, but it will happen again. And I think, like, the Iranian people, they were probably so hopeful that this regime was going to be taken out and they were finally going to see some sort of peace and, you know, this totalitarian people gone out of their lives and they were going to have freedom of some sort. And now this, you know, ceasefire thing happening and Israel not finishing up the job, I think it might be a little bit disappointing. And I understand President Trump's point, but at the same time, my heart goes for the Iranian women, the good Iranian people that are so sick and tired of living under this regime that they were probably hoping and praying. And so, you know, that
Oh, you make a very good point, Maria. You make a very good, very valid point. And, you know, let me ask the audience, because Maria, I think, raises a very important question. Is Trump stopping Israel a little bit too early, too soon? Should he have waited another day or two and let Bibi and Israel finish off the regime and take out the Ayatollah? Your reaction next.
Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous. I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
8:20 on the great WRKO. Very dramatic morning. Has a lot been going on the last, couple of hours. So we had a ceasefire, then we didn't have a ceasefire because, according to media reports, Iran launched several ballistic missiles that got through the Iron Dome, landed in the Israeli city of Beersheva, however you pronounce it. And according to the media and the Israeli government, 4 Israeli civilians were killed. Netanyahu was livid. His defense minister was apoplectic. And they vowed to strike at the heart of Tehran. In particular, they said they were going to go after the Ayatollah, the mullahs, and essentially take out and decapitate the regime. Trump was not happy, saying that both sides had violated the ceasefire, that Iran had, broken the ceasefire, but that Israel effectively started it by unloading bomb after bomb after bomb right as the ceasefire began. And so listen to President Trump. He let it be known. He was angry with both sides. and he dropped the F-bomb deliberately in front of the entire press corps with the cameras rolling live. Roll cut 101, Mike.
Believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
Sorry, I just find the "do you understand" that funny. Like, I just used the F-bomb for emphasis. Do you understand that? You want to get that? Okay, I just said the F. They don't know what the F they're doing. Do you understand that? Like, let me drive that point home. 617-266-6868. Now, just as I predicted, I mean, it's all over social media. Many MAGA supporters love the fact that he used the F-bomb. Libs are melting down. Already the fake news media. He used the F-bomb. How dare you? It's so unpresidential. The children. So let me ask all of you, okay? Really, not double, triple-barreled question. What do you make now of Trump's decision to tell Israel to stand down and not take out the head of the regime, take out the Ayatollahs, take out the mullahs? That, in other words, was it too soon? Did he tell Israel to stop a little bit too early? Or did he do the right thing for the sake of the ceasefire and peace and stability in the region? Number two, should Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize? I think he should. It would, and by the way, the libs are going to go, you think they're angry now. They're going to lose their minds if he ever gets the Nobel Peace Prize. Because to me, what he has done by taking out Iran's nuclear program without a single U.S. casualty, he will go down in history as one of the greatest statesmen that has ever lived. I think now he's literally on a par with Winston Churchill. And he is becoming the president by which all other presidents will be judged. And what he has done by removing that menace, that Iranian nuclear menace, that is guaranteeing peace for at least a generation in terms of nuclear war. And so I can't overstate, really, how consequential and momentous and historic this achievement is. To me, it's a no-brainer. Give him the Nobel Peace Prize. And three, and I have to ask it because it's going to become the talk of the next 24 to 48 hours. Were you offended by Trump using the F-bomb? Do you think it's inappropriate for a president in public talking to to the American people, to the public, to the media, to drop the F word or the F-bomb, to swear? I don't mind. Frankly, I thought it was appropriate. It showed his seriousness, his determination, but and it made his point, and it worked because he went on Marine One, and within 10 minutes, both sides had agreed to a ceasefire. So clearly, he wanted to get across his message, how angry, how frustrated, how at his wit's end he was, and that he wasn't going to put up with, for either side anymore, violating the ceasefire. And within 10, 15 minutes, it's funny, he gets on Marine One, and he says, the F-bomb, and I'm happy with, I'm not F, they're effing, he's not happy with either of these sides, or, he's effing unhappy with both of them, and that they don't know what the F they're doing. And then he gets on the helicopter, and then he lands, and then the press is waiting for him there, and he says, I want you to know I spoke to Bibi, the planes are turning around, I spoke to the Ayatollahs, there's not one more rocket that's going to be fired, we have a ceasefire and it's going to hold. So if he wanted to use the F-bomb to get them both back to agree to a ceasefire, mission accomplished. So what do you make of all of the developments of the last couple of hours? 617-266-6868 is the number. The ceasefire is now in effect. Your calls next. Bulldozer 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is a text from 781. You can text us 70470, 70470. The text line is on fire. Jeff, I am a conservative and a longtime Trump supporter. But I have to ask you, who cares if Trump wins the Nobel Peace Prize? It's been a liberal prize forever. I don't care if Trump wins it or doesn't win it. Well, you're right. It's been dominated by liberals for decades and decades. There's no question. But no, I'll tell you why the libs, and I can tell you the response I'm getting, they are losing their minds. They're going crazy. They're going berserk. Because if Trump wins the Nobel Peace Prize, think about it, it destroys their entire narrative. Hitler wins the Peace Prize? A dictator? A tyrant? A king? A fascist? That's what they've been calling him nonstop. But he's now the world's greatest peacemaker? He wins the Nobel, underline the word, Peace Prize. It shatters their entire propaganda campaign and their entire narrative. And that's why they're going to fight tooth and nail to prevent him from getting it. But if there's any justice, Trump should get it. He's earned it. He deserves it. Dane in Florida. Thanks for holding, Dane, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff.
Hi, Dane.
I hope I answer all these questions in one swoop. First of all, we've always heard the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 1,000 times, shame on me. These radical Muslims are here just waiting for an opportune moment to strike. You don't have to remember 2001's. They tried to take down the World Trade Center, the first try, and they didn't do it. However, they are persistent, patient, and they finished the job in 2001. Jeff, who flies into the World Trade Center, kills themselves and over 3,000 innocent human beings, thinking they're going to 40 virgins waiting for them in heaven?
72, Dan. I wish it was 40. No, I'm yes. Really, it's 72. That's what they believe, 72.
Radical Muslim congresswoman in Congress as we speak, which is unbelievable in itself. A very respected pastor, an attorney, and a radio host once told me, quote, Dane, these radical Muslims will never stop or give up until you're beaten, financially destroyed, or death. Okay? Jeff, we will be fighting the good fight until the day we leave this earth. And lastly, if, as you say, if I was sitting in a confessional with you and President Trump was across from me and he says, what should I do, Dane? I would say this, President Trump, be still and know. Always be led by the divine hand of God, and you will always take the right direction and make the correct decisions, okay? And as far as the last thing, the Nobel Peace Prize, Trump is a real and raw guy, so the F-bomb, that's so mute, it's unbelievable. But as far as the Nobel Peace Prize, I'd rather be blessed by the hand of God than get 1,000 Nobel Peace Prize. And hopefully I covered everything, Jeff, but that's the way I feel. And I'll tell you, we have a president that is being led by the divine hand of God, because every decision he makes and everything they try to destroy him backfires on them, and he's rewarded by the blessed hand of God.
Well, Dane, look, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I think this is one point that bears repeating again and again. I truly believe, and I think is becoming more obvious by the second, by the minute, by the day, that God spared Donald Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. I think there's no question now. And it was a millimeter, if that. And that was the difference between being shot in the ear and being shot in the head, in which his brains would have been blown out like John F. Kennedy and he'd be dead. And I believe it was the divine hand of God. And I believe he saved Donald Trump. And from that moment on, I'm really, again, let me be in the confessional one more time. I said it on the air, but I'm telling you, it wasn't just, to say it on the air. In private, I told Grace over and over again, he's going to win. He's going to win. After that, I said, he's going to win. Do you understand? It's done. He's going to win. And I think he saved America. I think he has saved Israel, frankly. And honestly, I think he has saved the Middle East and the world. And we're living through it. Again, if you would have told me or you, even just a couple of years ago, never mind 5, 10 years ago, you're going to see a joint military operation from the air and missile strikes alone. Not a single boot on the ground. Not a single American troop. And the mullahs are going to get their entire nuclear weapons program obliterated, decimated. Their ballistic missiles shattered, wiped out. Their top military commanders assassinated. Their top nuclear scientists dead. That the regime is going to be shaken to its very foundation and suffer a humiliating defeat. And that this will end the threat of nuclear blackmail and the possibility of these insane ayatollahs getting the bomb and not one American casualty. Not one. No wider war. The Muslims are not going crazy on the streets. Russia and China stay out. Basically, Iran will be left utterly degraded, defeated, and isolated. I'd say you're crazy. Honestly, I'd say you're on crack cocaine. You're nuts. You're nuts. You're nuts. I'd say at a minimum, you'd see Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, the Iranian Shia proxies in Iraq and in Syria. I said, my God, Israel would be getting hit from 3, 4, 5 different fronts. It'd be a bloodbath. None of that happened. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. I'm telling you, we're witnessing a miracle. Trump is right. He's going off the 6-Day War in 1967. He's calling it the 12-Day War. And I believe it's going to be called the 12-Day War. And he says this is the 12-Day War. And America and Israel together have won one of the most important, historic, consequential victories. Look, he told the media in private, he goes, look, you really want to know? This is a great victory for America. And again, without one American dying, hell, without one American even being injured, he has given our children and our grandchildren peace for a generation. And the end of the mullahs and the ability of them to wipe out Israel, to wipe out and wage nuclear war, or to threaten and menace Europe and the United States. I mean, he will go down as one of the greatest statesmen that ever lived. I think his place in history now is assured. And what are we, 6 months into his presidency? We still got 3.5 years to go, my friends. Give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Israel now has released an official statement. This is straight from the Prime Minister's office, Bibi Netanyahu. They are standing down. They have stopped or halted, and they're turning around a heavy bombing campaign that they were planning to hit the heart of Tehran with. So they are now going to abide completely by the ceasefire. Iran now says they're going to abide by the ceasefire as well. So it looks like Trump now has, basically gotten both sides to stand down and agree to what they had agreed to last night. Now, 2 ultra quick points. Number 1, with this ceasefire, good luck to the Democrats trying to impeach Donald Trump. Good luck. Number 1, as I said on Newsmax yesterday when I was on, I said when Obama bombed Libya without congressional authorization, when Bill Clinton bombed Serbia over Kosovo without congressional authorization, you liberals never said a word. Never said a word. It never bothered a single Democrat. Now that Trump did it, suddenly you want to impeach him? Right. And now that he's secured a ceasefire, it would be absolute political suicide if AOC and her band of left-wing fanatics, okay, these far left-wingers, if they try to impeach Trump, they are going to destroy themselves politically. Part of me even says, please go. I'm begging you. Do it. Try to impeach him. Try. You're going to make him even stronger and even more popular. Now, and the final point. A lot of you, I wouldn't say the majority, but a good 35, 40%, if you're going by emails and the text line. And I just want to read one text. But many of you feel that Trump jumped the gun on the ceasefire, that he stopped Israel too early, too soon. And let me just give you an example. This is from 508. Jeff, with all due respect, I think you're missing a very key angle about the developments of today and last night. Why is Trump meddling and imposing an artificial settlement? Honestly, who cares about the Nobel Peace Prize? The ceasefire allows the mullahs in Tehran to survive. And sooner or later, they will be back to build the bomb. They will rebuild, they will recover, they will rearm. And what Trump is now doing by preventing Netanyahu from wiping out the Ayatollah and his theocratic regime, he is just guaranteeing that we're going to have to do the exact same thing, i.e. bomb, 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 in about 4 or 5 years. Let Israel finish it. So, let me ask you, many of you feel strongly about this. Do you think the ceasefire is too soon, too premature? Do you think Trump should have given Netanyahu the green light to take out the mullahs and end their regime once and for all? Or did Trump play it masterfully, perfectly, threading the needle? 617-266-6868. John in Malden. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Morning.
Hi, John.
It's a crazy situation. The way things are going. We need peace, but it's hard to to keep it, and for Russia to stay out of what's going on, that's even better. And especially for the other countries too, like China. But then again, what do they have to? That they want us to get involved too and fight and destroy ourselves too. Because don't forget, China wants to take over, and we got to prevent that too. So it's just a crazy situation what Trump's going through right now, and I can understand what he's trying to do is keep the peace. Because in the end, it's going to be a disaster for everybody, not just for us, but for all the other countries too. So that's it's just a crazy situation. So,
well, John, look, I can just tell you this, just to reinforce what you're saying and jump off what you're saying. I'm going by Israeli media reports now, because they have very good sources within Bibi's office and his people close to him. And so there's a lot of great information. You read the Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel. What Trump has told Bibi repeatedly is, I understand you want to take out the Ayatollahs. And Trump has said, part of me wants to take them out too. But he said, I'm telling you, we do not have a reliable alternative in Iran. The Shah may want to come back, the Crown Prince, but there's a lot of opposition, even among the dissidents, to the Shah coming back because they see the previous Shah, his father, as having been a dictator as well. And so many of these pro-democracy dissidents don't want the mullahs and they don't want the Crown Prince. So what Trump is saying is, look, the opposition is divided in Iran. They're fragmented. They're not united. If we take out the Ayatollahs, there'll be nothing there to replace them with. It will be Iraq all over again, in the sense of not American boots on the ground, an occupation, us forming a government. But what he's saying is, just after we we smashed Saddam and toppled him from power, and then it just turned into a civil war. The country just slowly broke apart, and it was sectarian war, terrorism. He said and he goes, there's enriched uranium that is still in that country. The Ayatollahs have buried it. They've moved it. I don't want that to get into the hands of some crazy terrorist group or organization. So rather than let Iran descend into absolute chaos and anarchy, I don't like the mullahs, but at least we have somebody to negotiate with. Now, he's told Bibi, if the Iranian people rise up and topple them, and obviously then have a viable political government that's willing to take over, he's all for it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, John. I'm shocked. Not at Trump's, argument. I think it's a very coherent, rational argument. I can literally see both sides. I really can. I'm shocked that there isn't an Iranian nationalist, a patriot, in that military that would say, you know what? The mullahs have led us to disaster. The mullahs have driven our country into the ground. Even from a hardline Iranian nationalist point of view, just look at it from, say you're a guy in the military, a general or whatever. You say, our proxies have all been wiped out. Our air defenses have been destroyed. Our missile launchers have been pretty much obliterated. Our nuclear program is in pieces. It's in tatters. They go, we have spent $1 trillion. That's how much Iran has spent over the last 25 years to build up our nukes or our nuclear program and our military. And you guys squandered it all in 12 days? And now we're basically a defenseless country where Israel controls the air, complete air dominance, where they can hammer us and strike us and attack us at will. This is what you've done to the great Iranian nation? This is what you've done to the great Iranian military? Overthrow these guys. I say, I've been waiting for a military guy, somebody from the generals or whatever. Nothing. At least so far, nothing. Now, Israel, one of their last strikes that they did, and this is very important, is they hit Iran's most notorious prison. There's actually a video of it. It's really impressive. I'm not kidding. They literally blew the doors off. You see the strike. It's a Tomahawk missile. Boom. And you see the doors of this dungeon, this notorious prison, just come flying off. That's where all the Iranian political leaders and dissidents who have been tortured and arrested, that's where they've all been serving their sentences. So basically, it's like a jailbreak, but for the opposition to the Iranian mullahs. So Israel's almost like, we're going to free them. And maybe one of them can form a movement or an alternative and challenge the mullahs directly. So again, but right now, from everything from what Bibi's people are telling the Israeli media, Trump and our intelligence says there's no alternative right now, a viable alternative to the mullahs. And that's why Trump said, stand down. Stand down. It's easy to break something. It's very hard to put it back together. You can smash the regime, yes, but then what comes after? So Trump is being prudent. He's being cautious. And he's looking at Iraq as an example. We overthrew Saddam, but we didn't think about what would come next. And he doesn't want to repeat that mistake. John, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Tom, red, white, and blue dynamite baby in New Jersey. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Jeff Kuhner is the grand leader, the mystic ruler of conservative talk radio, the man who's never taken the 30 pieces of silver, and that's red, white, and blue dynamite, baby.
Thank you, Tom. I haven't even taken one piece of silver. But let that go, Tom. Go ahead, my friend.
For you all the time, Jeff. Jeff, Donald Trump, I'll inject some realism in this. An agreement by the Ayatollah, and Jeff, let's change the lexicon. The Ayatollah is not a religious zealot. He's an evil zealot masking as a religious zealot. He gives religion a bad name. Ayatollah should be Adolf. Khomeini should be Lucifer. He's projecting he's the great Satan, and he's projecting it on a Judeo-Christian country called the United States of America. So an agreement with the Ayatollah is not worth the paper it's written on. He will be backed, if he stays in power, by men like George Soros. He still looms in the background. President Trump, we have to be like Wyatt Earp. Maybe we can't take these people out like George Soros, but they certainly have to be neutralized. This is Iran has to be under surveillance. This is an evil empire, Jeff, and I'm not so big on, I can understand where Bibi's coming from, Jeff. This is an oppressive regime, and we have to realize who we're dealing with. The Nobel Peace Prize, don't lay down with those lefties. If he gets it, fine. Who cares? We got a world to save, Donald Trump, and be God-inspired, and don't let your ego get in the way of this. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, Tom, look, you've really put your finger on it now. And so let me ask you, and this is, I guess, the ultimate question. When everything is said and done, here's where we are. Trump now, he's even gone on Truth Social. And also now there are tons of media reports, both Israeli and here, confirming this. Trump has ordered Benjamin Netanyahu. We gave him a direct order. He called him on the phone. And he said, quote unquote, do not drop those bombs. And he ordered Bibi to order his planes, his warplanes, Israeli warplanes, to turn around, not drop their payload. And as Trump said on Truth Social, just wave to the Iranians. That's all this is now. This is planes riding around, flying around. You're going to wave to the Iranians, and you're going to come back home, and you're not going to drop a single bomb. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention. So what he's done now is he's ordered Bibi, and he's let the world know that he's ordered Bibi to stand down. Now, Bibi has been very clear. He wants the Ayatollah gone, and he wants to overthrow the regime. So, in a sense, Trump now has saved the Ayatollahs. For now. We don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, but for now, he has saved the Ayatollahs. And look, Tom, I'm not trying to duck the issue. I'm being honest. I could see it from both points of view. But I remember the first Iraq War when we had kicked Saddam out of Kuwait and his forces. And then he stopped at the Bush at the time, Bush 41, stopped at the Iraq border and kept Saddam in power. And I'll never forget Manny Ribeiro, good friend of mine, a Marine. He was there during Operation Desert Storm. And he said, Jeff, I got to tell you, we got the order, stand down. We weren't going to go into Iraq and topple Saddam. And every single person in my unit, to a man, remember, there weren't women fighting then, to a man, we looked at each other and we just shook our heads and we said, we're going to be back. We're going to be back. And, they were. 11 years later, 12 years later, they were back. And so my question to you, has Trump made a strategic error? The operation was brilliant. The taking out of the nuclear sites, brilliant. His support of Bibi, brilliant. But now we're talking about the end game. Has Trump botched the end game by ending the war too soon? Should he have let Bibi go in and drop the final hammer and take out the Ayatollahs once and for all? What say you, Tom?
Jeff, did we give peace a chance or did we give evil a chance? Are we giving him a chance to retool? Hey, Jeff, we needed a ceasefire in Russia and Ukraine. Trump should maybe not try to micromanage this. We did our mission, pull back. I don't like, it's a security nightmare. Would you sit down with these mullahs? They'll have to assassinate you right there. It's a security nightmare. And you're negotiating. This is Lucifer. This is Adolf Hitler incarnate. Trump's got to remember that. The deal is not worth the paper it's written on. And keep that in mind. Let's get a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Okay? Let's shift our attention. We've done our mission accomplished. Let's not try to micromanage it. I don't want a peace deal with the devil. I really don't. He's the grand liar, the grand deceiver.
Tom, as always, I love your calls. Tom, thank you very much. 617-266-6868 is the number. Chris in Nashua. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Jeffrey, I love you in a non-sexual way.
Thank you, Chris.
My friend, you not only have the best conservative talk radio show in Boston, you have the best talk radio show conservative in the United States.
Wow, thank you.
And
High praise.
salute
Thank you.
for that, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm in my 70s. I've been in the United States Marine Corps for many, many years, and as like every other Marine, I never retire. I am a Marine. Please tell people, because once again, let me reiterate, I am in my mid-70s. There has never, and I mean Ronald Reagan included, been a better president for this country than Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is bringing back America from the grave. Forget Iran, forget Russia, forget everyone else. This country was losing its face. This country was losing its power. And my last statement, Jeff, I thought very long and hard when you raised that question about Donald Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize, and I kind of agree with you. However, I have to give the Nobel Peace Prize to your wife, Grace.
Why?
For putting up with you, sir. Blessed day, my friend.
Oh, Chris, hold on one second. Mike, Sandy, you got to turn this into a blurb for the show when we do these spots throughout the day. And Chris, that is dynamite. That is really good. Putting up with me. Chris, God bless you and thank you for your service. No, you know what? It's true. I stand corrected. Give Grace the Nobel Peace Prize. Seriously, how she puts up with me. She's a saint. I'm telling you, she's a saint. 617-266-6868. Look, there's no question. He has undone the Obama presidency. He has, because he's denied Obama's dream of giving the mullahs the bomb. And that's all Obama really focused on. Other things, but that foreign policy, that was his number one objective. That's done. And now he's undoing all of Biden's presidency. He is securing the border. He has stopped the border invasion cold. He's now starting these mass deportations very aggressively. Biden also wanted to empower the mullahs, gave them $16 billion. All of that now is coming to an end. So, Chris, you're completely right. Day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, Trump is making America great again. And you know what? I never thought this would ever leave my lips. But I think we may have found a president who's even greater and better than Reagan. My dad's rolling in his grave, but I think we may have found it. So I think Trump is the man. But anyway, your calls, your reaction next. 1-7-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from 917. You can text the Kuhner man, 70470. 70470. This is from 781. Jeff, I completely agree with what Trump is doing by continuing to maneuver for a ceasefire. He is putting America's interests first, which is to say a ceasefire allows him to focus again on getting the important business done here at home. Deportations, tax reform, deregulation, and the rest of the pieces of the big, beautiful bill. So, really, the Kuhner country is, I wouldn't say divided. Divided implies antagonism or hostility. But the Kuhner country is split on whether Trump should continue to enforce a ceasefire, as he's done, or just let Israel finish it once and for all. Okay, very quickly. This is from 617. Jeff, I disagree with Trump's decision to enforce a ceasefire. Under no circumstances should Israel give up their control of Iranian skies. They have the Ayatollahs on the ropes. Let Bibi deliver the knockout punch. 617-266-6868. Let me just say quickly this, just very quick. This was why I was concerned. If you remember, forgive me, in the early stages of this 12-day war, I said, if America formally joins the war, yes, they'll take out the nuclear sites quickly, decisively, no question. But then Israel does become the junior partner of the United States, whether they like it or not. And if you remember, I warned about this. I said one of the side effects is that essentially Bibi is going to have to listen to what Trump tells him to do. You lose some of your freedom of maneuver, freedom of your independence, your ability to conduct the operation or the war as you see fit. And you're seeing this now clearly on display. Bibi wants to go in and take out the Ayatollah and the entire regime right here, right now. And Trump has ordered him, no, stand down. So that's why, if you remember at the very beginning, I said, look, if from an Israeli point of view, not just from an American point of view, because, we become formally involved, but I said from an Israeli point of view, yes, you get America to back you. That's huge. But you are going to sacrifice some of your independence. It comes with a cost. Nothing is free. And Bibi's now learning, here's the cost. And so the question I have for you is it too soon? Is it too early? Are we letting the mullahs off the hook? Give them time to rebuild, to recover, and to rearm. Or is it time to end the war now? Roman in Boston. Thanks for holding, Roman, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Roman?
I'm okay. Jeff, I have mixed emotions on everything. So much has happened in the past 2 hours since you started your broadcast. First of all, let's talk about his language, his colorful language. Harry Truman used to swear like a truck driver. Jasmine Crockett, every word out of her mouth is a swear word. They have no problem with kids seeing male appendages at gay pride parades, but they're going to come out and call him out on his colorful language. That being said, Jeff, the Iranian people are 2 generations removed from freedom, and in those 2 generations, the brainwashing that has happened to them, they don't know what freedom is. A lot of them don't. Because you posed a question earlier, where are the patriots? And there are some left, but most of the country has been under the suppressive rule for, over like almost 50 years. So, with Trump, I think I have mixed emotions. Let Israel. Part of me says let Israel go, get rid of them. But I remember what happened with Saddam. What happened after Saddam? ISIS. So you have a power vacuum. Is the Crown Prince capable? Is he even a viable candidate to lead the country under a parliamentary rule as well? It could happen, but these are all unknowns. These are all unknowns to us. So I think for now, Trump made the right move. Is calling the strike off. Bibi must be extremely mad, because if I was Bibi, I would take out the oil fields. I would take out everything. Iran has taken out hospitals and taken out the civilian population, and the city kid in me is like strike back with equal in devastating force on their civilian population. You do it to us, we do it to you. He's shown great restraint, in my opinion. But I think, my vote, I disagreed with him with the initial bombing on Saturday, right? But my vote was my contract to him for my trust. And I trusted him. After it happened, I didn't want it to happen. I don't believe in regime change. The regime change has to happen from the Iranian people. But after it happened,
Roman, I'm up against a hard break. I really want you to finish that last point. Please hang on, Roman. I want you to finish it. I think you're expressing the kind of internal ambiguity that a lot of the audience feels. So I want you to flush it out. Thank you, Roman. On the great WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, let's go right back to Roman in Boston. Roman, you were saying you had some doubts, some concerns about the bombing strike that Trump ordered on Iran's 3 nuclear sites. You don't want us to get involved in a deeper war or involved in regime change. However, you said that voting for Trump is a bit like a contract. And like a contract, you're expressing faith or trust or confidence in a president and in a leader, and then we got cut off. So please, Roman, I want you to make your point. And did I summarize your previous call accurately?
Yes, you did, Jeff. In the prior days to Saturday, I thought Israel was doing a fantastic job. I thought they could have done more. I was like, they have this in hand. They don't need us. I didn't think we needed to. Not that we should have, shouldn't. I didn't think we needed to. But it happened. And on Saturday night, I was like, oh, okay. All right. I trust him. And I started thinking about my vote. And I'm like, my vote is my trust in him. That's my contract to him. And that's what all MAGA did. We trusted him to do a job. And we aren't there to make the decisions. He is. But we trust him with these decisions. Sometimes, decisions are right or wrong sometimes. But you have to have faith and you have to have trust in this man. And it turned out fantastically well. It really did. The operation couldn't have gone better. The aftermath couldn't have gone better. Now we're talking about capitulation, about, Iran and a ceasefire. And here we are. Now the after effects of what happens after this, there's a lot of things that could happen and could go wrong. But do we dwell in the hyperbole of what could happen, or what if, or what if, or what if? Or do we handle what's happening right now? I think Trump wants peace. And it's kind of reminiscent of my dad when me and my brothers were fighting and he had enough. And he called Bibi right away. Knock it off. Okay. Yeah, Dad. Okay. You were right in saying that Bibi did give up a lot of power, because he did. But at what expense? He has the might of the United States behind him when he didn't have it for the past 4 years. So I think it's going to be very interesting as to what the next couple of weeks are going to be.
I agree. No, Roman, I agree. And I think to sum up Trump's position, and I think you've really laid out the ambivalence and ambiguity a lot of people have. You know, it's kind of like back and forth. You go, can see it from, Bibi's point of view, can see it from Trump's point of view, and then you just go back and forth. But I think Trump's position, if I could sum it up, is take the win. I think this is what, ultimately, if he's talking to Bibi, look, take the win. This is a surrender. Tehran has effectively now surrendered. That's what this ceasefire really means. They have been weakened. They have been pounded. They have been defeated on the battlefield. And they've been humiliated. There's no getting around it. And, no one respects Tehran anymore militarily. They inspire no fear, none. And it's going to take a generation for their military to come back. And so Trump's saying, look, the nuclear threat is gone. The ballistic missile stockpiles are gone, or mostly gone. Their top military commanders, their top nuclear scientists, you guys knocked them all out. Their proxies, you knocked off Hezbollah, you knocked off Hamas, you knocked off Bashar Assad, or you helped in Syria. You've knocked off the Houthis. You're resetting the entire Middle East. The Middle East has been transformed in the last 12 days. So he's basically telling Bibi, I get it. You want to, deliver the knockout blow, but the knockout blow comes with uncertainty afterwards. What we have is certainty. You know the expression, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. And Trump is saying it's a big, beautiful bird. Pocket the win. And I think that's why Trump was so angry, saying, look, forget it. We don't need more of this. So, and we'll see. Honestly, Roman, I think time will tell. Time will tell ultimately if Trump pulled out at the right possible moment or if he was a little bit early. And we'll see. But look, there's no question. It doesn't matter. This is a spectacular victory, honestly, for Israel, for the United States, and really for peace. For the entire Middle East, for peace. And honestly, to me, the cherry on the sundae, if the Iranian people could rise up and overthrow the mullahs and put in some kind of a viable government, pro-Western, my God, it would be the ultimate. Literally, it'd be the ultimate. Roman, thank you very much for that call. Heidi in Northborough, thanks for holding, Heidi, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Heidi?
I'm great, thank you. Hey, one thing that I want to clear up from the other day when I called was that I couldn't think of where my cousin had served, and he was in Desert Storm, so I need to give him credit for that.
Okay.
But you know what? I guess I never thought I'd have something in common with a president, but the both of us have now been bleeped on the air. So,
so that's what I mean. I tell callers, they get all offended. I'm like, look, it's not you. I have to bleep everybody, including the president, or else I get fined. You understand? And I can't afford a multi-million-dollar fine. Heidi, what do you make of what's happened? The ceasefire? Did Trump do the right thing, or should he have let Bibi just go all the way and take out the Ayatollahs?
Well, first of all, before I comment on that, I think that it's being a single mother raising a son who's an only child who has no male influence in his life. I've tried to raise him to be strong and to be independent and to be confident and to finally have somebody in office that he can look at and say, it's okay if I'm like this because you can be successful and it's okay to be a man and it's okay to be an alpha male. So I want to thank the president for finally bringing back macho-ness to the White House because it feels good as an American to see that. And the other day when they went in and they struck and they got out with no injuries, under the radar, I told you the other day when I called, I wasn't more proud to be an American and men, here we come. Well, we came, we did, and we went. So as far as I'm concerned, we have 2.5 more years, 3.5 more years, 2.5 really, because then he has to start switching things over to J.D. Vance so that we can have 4 more years of this. Let's wait and see. Is he right? Is he wrong? We don't know. Nobody knows but God. But he did the right thing for right now. We don't need the end game before we've even finished the beginning. So, yes, let's stop the killing. Let's stop the destruction. Let's stop the mess that was going on first. Now everybody can calm down and let's figure out what's next. They blew up that prison for a reason. The United States didn't do it. Israel did it. But they did it for a reason. I have to believe that there was a reason that they did that, and that's so that we can get the next set of whatever it is that can take over Iran and not be as crazy as these crazy people are that want to have death to America and death to the world.
You know, Heidi, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, I want the whole audience, if you have time, I know everybody's busy, they're working, but in the Iranian parliament, basically their version of Congress, you just see one lawmaker after another. The images are just, it's so primitive. It's so medieval. Actually, it's not even medieval. They didn't do this in the Middle Ages, I'm telling you, where they're all standing up, pumping their fists and chanting, death to America, death to Israel, death to America, death to Israel. And they just go on and on and on. And you look at this and you're like, that's your parliament? That's what Trump, he's denied these animals, these savages, the nuclear bomb. That's what they've done. He and Bibi together, that's what they've done. This is a spectacular victory for humanity. Never mind just for America and for the region, for humanity. Heidi, thank you very much for that call. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. 617-266-6868 is the number. Rob in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding.
Winnicott High School. I was in the crowd, and I do not agree with this. Let them finish the damn job, man. You got to wipe these people out. That's all they understand. And I don't agree with Trump 100% of the time. And I think Bibi should just get it over with, get it done, move on. They already have a president in waiting.
Mike, did you dump him? Mike? Okay. Rob, I think you hit a dead zone because you were talking and then you just dropped. I thought maybe Mike had dumped you because you swore, but you didn't. Rob, are you still there?
I am, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. So you're saying, yeah, I hear you now loud and clear. Sorry, Rob, because you just, you just died on us, and I thought maybe you used an F-bomb, or I don't know. But I'm sorry, Rob, my apology.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, Rob, so you're saying they already have the Crown Prince, Pahlavi, the son of the late Shah, that they have an alternative government, a king in waiting. They have the next government, and then we lost you. Please keep going, Rob.
That was my main point. Nobody brought that up. The guy's got a lot of support on the ground. So when you say they don't have, take the devil, leave the Ayatollahs in, I totally disagree with the president. Bad move. Bibi's got to do this. The history books are going to be kind to Trump and Bibi already, but I cannot agree with this one, man. Take the guys out.
Rob, what do you say to the argument? Because this is another argument that's being made. What is more likely to activate these terrorist sleeper cells that we have, here in the United States? Continued bombing or a ceasefire now? And so another consideration, I'm just asking you, another consideration is Trump saying, look, we've won. We accomplished our objectives on the nuclear program, on the ballistic missiles, and I don't want to see bombs going off or terrorist attacks going off, whether it be across the Middle East against our people or here on the home front. So we have a ceasefire, and that will reduce the chances of any terrorism substantially. If we continue bombing, that continues the possibility that they will lash out by activating sleeper cells. What do you say to that argument, Rob?
And let me finish it, Jeff. It's very simple. I said it before. I'll say it again. You got to finish the job. The Ayatollahs are part of the job. It's like getting down to the 5-yard line and punting. Come on, man. Scored the touchdown. Let's move on. We got everything's all in place. The Shah is ready to go. He's got a ton of support. I believe the Iranian people do want what they had prior to 1979. I remember 1979, Jeff. This is ridiculous. Bibi's got to overrule him on this. I'm sorry. Thank you for taking my call, and have a good day, Jeff.
Thank you.
A card-carrying member of Kuhner Country.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you, Rob. Passionate call and interesting call. Thank you very much for that. So Rob says finish it. Andy in Milford. Andy, I hate to do this to you because you're a really good caller, but I've only got 1 minute left. Go.
We also got to look at the 800-pound gorilla in the room here, and that's the neocons in the industrial military complex. They wanted to get us into another open-ended war. President Trump was absolutely right to shut this down right now. There really needs to be a revival of the green movement in Iran. That's where the change over there needs to come from.
So, Andy, I think you slightly disagree with Rob then. In other words, don't take out the Ayatollahs, have Bibi, let's say Bibi do it, and install the Shah. You're saying let it come from the ground up in Iran, correct?
Absolutely what I'm saying, Jeff.
Interesting. Andy, are you, so you like the ceasefire? You think it's the right time, the right move at the right moment? I assume that's yes. Mike, would it kill you to let the guy say yes or no? I mean, it would kill you. That's what you're telling me. I would kill you. Okay. Mike, maybe we should have you run that country. Oh, I'm serious. Well, they need a strong man, Mike. They need a strong leader. Somebody will put him in their place. All right. On that note, bye-bye.